welcome back to another episode of Amari Music Talk. I'm Richard Cole. This is the podcast that is always on the one. All right. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're a longtime listener, welcome back. Today, going to talk about what would a final time album, or what would the final time album sound like? Now, of course, there's no official word of any recording by the time. We do know that Morris Day is kind of on the last final tour with Morris Day and the Time, at least the current lineup, after which he'll retire from show business, and he'll probably resurface if the original members of the Time get back together. So if, Jesse Johnson, Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, Jelly Bean Johnson, Monty Moore, and Jerome Benton decide they'll get on the same page and do like a final album, final show, final something, then that will happen. But again, no official word as of yet. But I thought it'd be fun to kind of speculate on what would that album be, or, not necessarily what songs, or, doing an official track listing or anything, but would it be something that they would do, say, if they produced it themselves? Would they pick songs from the vault, that Prince had written either intentionally for the Time, or Prince songs that kind of have that heavy funk or some heavy guitar, throw in a couple of good ballads? What would the configuration be? So I came up with two different formats of what that album would sound like. And the first one, the first format, kind of piggybacking off of the last album, which was Condensate. That had roughly about 18 tracks. Maybe, I don't know if like 2 or 3 of those were skits or anything, but there were quite a large number of songs, more than Pandemonium, more than definitely the first 3 albums. But using that 18 song structure, how would you go about it? So I figured that they should at least just picking a lucky number out the air, the Prince number, pick 7 tracks out the vault that would be total Prince songs, and have them kind of turn those into time tracks. As far as the co-production, I would say, of course, there were the rumored talks that Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis had a discussion with Prince about cherry picking some songs from the vault that they would remix and, put out as an album one day. So that would be one logical, members of the Time that would produce that. Maybe Jesse would want to co-produce some tracks. Definitely Morris, maybe all 7 tracks. Maybe Morris would initially go in and kind of put together like a basic mix. Maybe, if they're not Time songs that are from the vault, if they're Prince songs, maybe, Morris go in and overdub some drum tracks or something, kind of spice them up a bit and do a little rough mix, and then the rest of the Time come in and flesh it out. So, or, maybe have Jam, Lewis, Morris, Jesse. And I say those 3 because I think consistently, especially Morris, had some input, whether it's in the production, where, definitely playing the drums on those tracks, to kind of have that tribute, to do that in final tribute of Prince, to do these songs from the vault. Again, Jam and Lewis have had discussions with Prince about cherry picking some tracks from the vault that could be reworked into, a fully mixed song, or, maybe rework it as a Time song. That's a possibility. Jesse is a very strong producer as well as, strong guitar player that can lay some good guitar overdubs or, do some mixes that would, because I think Jesse's thing is not necessarily looking back, but, try to create something fresh, create something new. And again, kind of looking at that history, like his involvement during the Ice Cream Castle sessions, that would be, a logical choice. Or again, have all four collaborate. And that's the key. I know that it came out later that, Condensate was kind of plagued by, allegedly some ego issues here and there. Jesse wrote some strong or created some strong tracks that, lyrically kind of had him scratching his head like, well, what did they come up with that for? But I would think, like I said, this going in, for me, I would think primarily as a Prince tribute. The band was his creation, or it was his and Morris's creation. And, Condensate was plagued with that, they couldn't use the name. So that kind of limited the concepts of what they wanted to do. Since they couldn't be the time, they tried to be this brand new band. And I think, for us diehards, and I know I enjoyed Condensate as an album, but to me, one of the flaws was that, just like with something like Prince's Emancipation, like, okay, well, he won this freedom from Warner Brothers, but he still can't call himself Prince. When I think an album called Emancipation would have been a lot stronger had it had the name Prince on it. Condensate is the same thing. I think it would have worked a lot better than if it was a Time album. And granted, I know the original 7 kind of has some personal meaning to them, but as a name, as a band name, I mean, y'all could have been The Secret, y'all could have been this band or that band, something with but the original 7, like I said, I get the personal meaning behind it, but for me as a band name, it did kind of leave me flat a little bit. So, but that's how it goes. Like I said, it was still a strong album. I love the heck out of Trending, but that's a discussion for another episode. But getting back to this, again, kind of how to make a better Condensate album, this would be the way to go. And sort of leaving those egos at the door. And like I said, keep in mind, part 1, this is a tribute. Number 2, work together to make it a Time album. I mean, the stuff you guys collaborated on with the Pandemonium album, that energy should carry into this one as well. So, with the remaining tracks on the album, like I said, you could make it a unified band effort, just have it produced or written, arranged or performed by the Time as a collective. I just thought of that, kind of going against my notes. But my original notes, like I said, if you wanted to make it democratic, and this was inspired by a conversation or a meeting that had come to light over the last few years regarding the Beatles, like kind of right around the end of Abbey Road, the recording and the release of that album. They had this meeting about, well, how do we deal with Beatle albums going forward? And John put this idea of, hey, I could do 4 songs, Paul do 4, George do 4, Ringo can do 2. And that would kind of keep it democratic. Unfortunately, just mere weeks after that, John was like, nope, I'm out the band, quit the Beatles. But, that didn't become public knowledge until 6, 7, 8 months later, when Paul made the official announcement. But like I said, using that kind of formula for the Time. So you got 7 songs that are cherry picked from the vault, definitely. So those are Prince compositions. How they want to produce that or co-produce that is up to them. Like we said, Morris can either oversee those 7 tracks or the basic tracks. And then Jam and Lewis could do a couple, or Jesse could do a couple, or all 4 of them work together on those 7 tracks. The remaining tracks, you could probably have Jam and Lewis write 2, Jesse Johnson write 2, Monty Moore write 2, and Morris Day write 2, and Jelly Bean Johnson write 2. Now to make it interesting, um, say if you wanted to just kind of say, okay, well, Monty only does one track, Jelly Bean only does one track, you know, um, maybe have Jerome contribute a track, get him a songwriting credit on there, and I mean, Jimmy and Terry could help him with it if they want, or him and Morris could work together, or, Jerome can write some lyrics, and like I said, make this thing as special as you can possibly make it. Also, too, in the very early stages of the time, I think it was rumored that Andre Simone was going to have some input, but then he got kind of sidelined on that. So it's no telling what his tracks would have been, on a Time album. What that would have sounded like. So, maybe bring Andre in and maybe have him write 2. If you don't say, if Jelly Bean doesn't write 2, or if you don't want to include Jerome writing in the writing process, or like I said, if Monty just has one song or decides not to contribute any songs, who knows? But yeah, maybe, bring Andre in, and or have that configuration of the band contribute. Maybe Andre can write a couple of tracks. Those would be bonus tracks, make that a Target or Walmart or Amazon or iTunes exclusive. We could do that, or, maybe do a song, have a track where the skit, he's trying to pitch the song and, and it's like it goes into that, we don't like new wave. We don't like new wave. And kind of play off of that, but then it turns into like the funkiest track ever, and just have the Time just do their thing on it. I don't know. I mean, what do you think? Leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts on that idea. But that's one format. The second format would be just, to kind of, again, cut down on any potential ego problems, or so and so has 5 tracks versus someone's 3 tracks, or come up with a killer groove but then be disappointed in the lyrical content or whatever. Forget all of that. Just do it like an old fashioned Time, or What Time Is It, or even Ice Cream Castles, where, okay, you pick 6 songs from the vault. Just 6, like the classic Time album, like the classic What Time Is It album. Just 6 songs. And that's it. That's your final Time album. And just have the Time just bring it on those 6 tracks, and have it stand up to the Time. Have it stand up to What Time Is It? Just have this killer flow of tracks on this album. Yeah. Just it's a thought. I know it was, I guess, someone online had mentioned something along the lines of a Time album or something, or them doing one or something. And it kind of gave me the idea to say, well, what would that sound like? Or how would you put that together? So how would you make the final Time album? Again, even with those 6 tracks, I would say, Morris, it's Morris Day, leader of the Time, the front man, and the person that was in day one on the sessions. So again, like I said, it's not only the final Time album, but it's also their way of doing a tribute album. Because, I don't think I would want to hear, like the obligatory tribute album, to where you get this singer, that singer, I don't, want to hear Rihanna covering a Prince track. I don't want to hear so and so covering a Prince track. But I mean, I get it if that's something that the estate wants to do. And if there's a market for it, hey, if some of you listeners out there would like something like that, um, me personally, I think as far as like the time, it's just to, like I said, pick those songs that fit, you know. Like I don't know, Shirley, I think there's songs in the vault for her. Um, just clean those up or bring those out or do it that way. But instead of just do, like I said, that obligatory where, okay, here's that cover of Purple Rain, jing, joo, 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 doo, doo, doo. Instead of just doing that, just like I said, just this is, I think, like closure. To me, I think it would be good closure for that band because it would be nice if they do some kind of a reunion or one final album. But we've been blessed. We got Pandemonium in 1990, thinking like, well, at least we got Pandemonium. They did get back together for that. And then Condensate, they got back together for that. And then prior to Condensate, they got to do that Vegas stint, which I really wish I was able to go to that. But we've been blessed, to get those things. We're grateful to have had those reunions. And if we don't ever see another reunion like that again, like I said, at least we've got those two to look back on and reminisce. But, if they decide to do one, let's get it back together one final time, then go out on a high note. And like I said, it was regrettable that Prince didn't have involvement with Condensate and they opened that invitation to him. Like I said, this would be the perfect tribute. It would be perfect closure. At least, for those brothers to, just go out on that, have the time go out on that high note, and have it something special for the fan base, for us fans. Like, yes, this would be great. Like I said, I might do an episode, if I think about it, like what songs we know of from the vault that would make a good sort of time album. If I do, it might be like the final, like that 6-track sequence. Because, we can't predict what somebody's going to write. So, like I said, it's like, oh, yeah, these two by Jam and Lewis. So let's call it whatever, or whatever. But, with the 18-song format, like I said, it gives everybody a chance to participate, gives everybody a voice in that band. It's split down the middle, so you don't have to worry. And like I said, in this particular case, with Jesse, his 2 songs have him write the lyrics as well as the music, and then have Jam and Lewis write their own tracks with lyrics and music, the entire band. And like I said, you could do 2 or 3 tracks where there's some collaboration going on as well, and it can still work. It's worked in the past. But like I said, to have this go as smoothly as possible, no feathers are being ruffled. And again, at the end of the day, yes, it's the time, but the time was that Prince or Prince Moore's Day creation. And let's honor that. So yes, unfortunately, you do have to go get some songs from the vault. The 18-song format at least gives you almost half and half where everybody's happy. But, if you want to just do a quick knockoff well, not a knockoff, but a good quality, like I said, have it be just like one of those classic albums. Take us back there and do that. But who knows? But, what will we call it? Let's call it The Final Time. That's the name of the album. The Final Time. Let's call it that. So, hey, let me know what you think. Would you like to hear the Final Time album? Would you like to see the original 7 get back and do one last album, maybe one last tour, or, something for some kind of pay-per-view or streaming event or something, Netflix concert special? or something, make that happen. Um, definitely, I still believe they should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You know, that would be something that would definitely coincide with that. Should it be, in the years ahead, if they could time that right, no pun intended, but if they can make that work, you know, that would be a good year. And like I said, a good high note to go out on too. But hey, leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts. And until then, hey, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, become a Patreon supporter. Still 7-day free trial on the $1 tier. So definitely do that. Thanks for the new, all you new subscribers. Those numbers are going up every time. I like to see that. I want to see that on the Patreon side as well. So definitely become a subscriber. And until then, create your day, create your life. Peace.